Well, I am done with the sheaths. Now I can take these knives into my back in the knife shop, and I'm going to put my edges on them. It always scares me with the high polished ones because, man, it takes very little effort at all to screw up a polished finish. This knife is sold. The paracord wrap dinner scanner, I just put the edge on it. And, okay, the whole reason for this was sharing with you what I have discovered on sheath making, how to make the edges look good. And what I've figured out so far. Now, I have seen some edges that just looks like one solid piece of leather. And that's really what I'm striving for, where you can't tell that there's, three pieces there. But I'm getting better and better at this. And this is still a little bit tacky, so some of the shine will go away. Okay, here's what I do. When I put my welt in the middle here, there's the outer, the inner, and then there's that middle piece there. I use, where is it? Barge's all-purpose cement. And it takes about 24 hours for this to dry hard. But I only give it a couple, 3 hours, just long enough to hold it for me to take these clamps off it. I glue it, I clamp it with this, and then I give it 2 or 3 hours, just enough to hold it while I hammer my lacing chisel through there. My lacing chisel, which is, by the way, is what ripped my thumb open. You would not believe how sharp them points are. And it cut me about a 1/4 inch deep. And it's healed up now. It took a little while, but it's good now. Anyway, so you have to hammer that lacing chisel to make these holes. And then you have to pull it out, and it tends to pull this leather apart. So you got to be real careful when you pull it back out. And then I get it all sewed up, and I take usually the middle piece, the welt in the middle, sticks out further than the upper and lower piece. So I take my razor knife, and I go along the edge, and I cut the middle piece level with the outer pieces, the upper and lower, the outer pieces. And then I take this into my belt sander, and I make all 3 surfaces level with each other. And then I come out here and I take this. This is called an edge beveler. And you run it around the edge like this. That takes a tiny little piece of leather off. This is what comes off. And it just rounds the corner. Then I come over here. Well, okay, I spray some water on it. There's my water. I spray some water on the edge, let it soak a minute. And I come over here to my Dremel, and it's got a slicker rod in it. And I run that Dremel at about a medium speed. Go off, turn off. Turn off. And I run that slicker up and down the edge of this, around over the edges. And then I let it dry overnight. I come back the next morning and I hit the edges with some sandpaper. This is 220. And that is when it really starts looking good. And now everything's dry. I smooth it out with some 220. And then I put this, where is it? Edge coat on the edge. I got black and brown. And so far I've only used black because I don't know, the edges just look better in black. And that's where I am now. I have finally gotten to the point where I'm way happier with my edges than I have been before. They're not perfect. I have seen some people who are able to get this to look like it's just one solid piece of leather, but my edges are getting better and better. Okay, I just thought I'd show you what I've learned so far on sheath making, and I'm going to tell you another little trick. If you're a knife maker, you've probably encountered this problem. Here, I'm going to shut this off and we'll go out to my knife shop because I got to bring all these out there anyway to start sharpening the blades. Yeah, before I go to the knife shop, let me just tell you this. The final thing I do to the blade after I get the edge on it is I come in here and I oil the blade. I put some oil on the blade and then I wrap the whole knife up with cling wrap, and then I put the knife in the sheath. And the reason is, this is high carbon steel and it will rust if you don't protect the blade with oil. So I will get it to you in the best condition this blade could possibly be in, and from that point on it's up to you to keep it protected and keep a little bit of oil on it. And when you get it, if you get one with a mirror polish, take a very soft cloth like a t-shirt or something to wipe the oil off the blade, because or a bath towel, something soft, because the mirror polished, it doesn't take much to put a scratch on it. So when you get a mirror polished blade, be careful with it. And if you get my satin finish, like Jay Wallace is getting my satin finish, you still have to keep it oiled. But the big picture is a satin finish, it doesn't take much to, if it happens to get a little rust on it, you could take some steel wool, or you could take a Scotch-Brite pad, or you could take some 600 grit sandpaper and clean it back up, put a little oil on it, be good as new. For people that are gonna use their knife, I always suggest the satin finish, or maybe the stonewash finish. But if you intend to use your knife a lot, I would not recommend the mirror finish. The mirror finish is for wall hangers, safe queens, knife collectors that just like pretty knives, because the mirror polish would not last long on a knife you used frequently. Okay, I'm glad I said that. I've been meaning to mention that because, it's 1084 steel. It's not stainless. I can mirror polish them, but if you intend to use it, don't order one with a mirror polish. Order one with a satin finish. Okay, so now let's go to the knife shop. I'm going to tell you something else I've learned. All right, here's what I've learned, and it concerns drilling the holes through your knife for the pins. And normally I drill 3 holes, and then I drill the holes through my wood. Now I've learned 2 things. Your wood has to be absolutely square, because if you put your knife on here and you follow the holes you've got drilled in the wood and you drill down through, if your wood is cocked or isn't quite level, and then you cut it down the middle and you try to go put your pins in there, it won't work. So I do 2 things now. I make sure that my block is completely square. It doesn't have to be square this way, but the part that you're going to cut down the middle, down this way, the upper and lower have to be square, and then you'll have better luck getting your pins through. And I do one other thing. Come over here and I'll show you. I drill with a 1/4 inch drill bit, and you can get the 1/4 inch brass pin through the knife, through the steel, but you cannot get this 1/4 inch pin through a 1/4 inch hole in wood. And I've heard people say, well, you freeze the pin, put the pin in the freezer and you can just get it in. Okay, you've got epoxy that you have mixed up And it has a very small window of how long you can screw around with this before you've got to clamp it and hold it. Or you just wasted your epoxy, you may have wasted your wood, you may have wasted your knife. You have to clean it up or find a way to, paracord wrap it or something. I mean, you have a limited window on how long you can work this. So here's what I do now. I have a reamer. These are a 1/4 inch, which is 0.250. That's 0.250. So you can make it go through the wood, but you have to hammer it. And if you do that, you run the risk of splitting your wood. So what I have is a reamer. This reamer is 2550, which means it's 50 thousandths over a 1/4 inch. And I use this reamer to ream out the holes in the metal. And now, I have been using that to ream out the holes in the wood, but what it does, it leaves this tiny halo of epoxy around the pin, and you probably wouldn't, you really, really got to look for it to see it. So I've stepped down and I've ordered 2 other reamers, a 2530 and a 2540. I'll try the 2540, and if it doesn't leave a halo, I'll just keep using it. And the 2530, I'm not certain it's big enough. If 30 thousandths of an inch is enough to make inserting the pin easier. So that's what I've learned. To ream out the holes slightly over a 1/4 inch. I'm talking microscopically over a 1/4 inch. Okay, now let me get my sharpening stuff out and get to sharpening these blades. I'm going to have these done today. And tomorrow is a Walmart day, but you folks are next. Jesse, Eric, Doug, Red, and Errol. So if you've been wondering when, Tuesday I'll get started on yours. And I'll have them all cut out and the holes drilled in the handles Tuesday. Everything's going to go smooth. I got my Kydex press fixed. I got my new shipment of steel. I got plenty of wood to choose from. I've ordered another piece of desert ironwood. I should have that by the end of the week. By the time Doug's is ready for the handles, I should have the ironwood. Okay, let's get to sharpening. Oh, alrighty. Today is early Sunday afternoon. I have 4 knives done. And this is that paracord wrap knife that sold. And I got the sheaths done. I got the edges on all of them. And mystery buyer's knife, I put the edge on it and I gave it one final buff. And they're all oiled. And I'm going to go home and box them up and ship them out. Okay, I'm in the shipping office. I think I mentioned that this was my knife sharpening, paperworking. These are knives I've sold. These are knives that I'm shipping tomorrow. Those are all the paperwork, the receipts for everything I've bought and everything I've taken in. And so anyway, this is my shipping office. 4 going out tomorrow. And tomorrow is Monday. Well, you'll see this Monday morning. And I'll be gone all day Monday. And I'll be back Tuesday to start on those other knives.